All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Tuesday morning. If you go to the University of Florida, they have a wonderful museum up there, the Museum of Natural History. Just such a really good museum. And they have some, are they called dioramas, Robin?
Yes, dioramas.
They're like these life-size, they're not sculptures, they're not mannequins either. I don't know. They have Native Americans in their canoes getting their corn ready, and it kind of shows what life might have been like, right?
Yeah, there might be 3/4 or something.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, and so there's one Indian lady, and she is breastfeeding her baby.
Yes.
Right? And you look at that, and you don't think there's anything wrong with it. It looks fine, right? And recently on Facebook, I have some members of in my friends. Now I'm not that age. I'm 60. Just I said that for our guests' benefit. But when if a younger woman in my family, for example, posts a picture of herself breastfeeding, it's like nobody seems to. It's not. But somewhere between those days of the Indians and now it's okay. Then it was okay. But somewhere when you and I grew up, it was like taboo. You weren't supposed to do this and see this, right?
Right.
Not that I have a problem with it. I honestly don't. And it's got nothing to do with me being a man and I'm attracted to breasts. It has nothing to do with it. It just doesn't seem like it's such a bad thing. It seems like it's a beautiful thing to me. Am I sounding goofy or something?
No.
Jennifer Ritchie has a book, and she calls it "I Make Milk. What's Your Superpower?" Which I think it's a cool way to look at it. It is a superpower. I mean, you can feed another human being.
Well, you guys have superpowers.
We have a superpower. Yeah. Well, we just jumpstart the whole process, and then we go and do something else. Jennifer is a lactation expert. She's an internationally board-certified lactation consultant. She's the founder. There's a young mom right there.
Yeah.
She's the founder of Milkalicious, which provides community-based long-term support for breastfeeding mothers. She's a researcher. And again, her book is I Make Milk, What's Your Superpower? Also, we're talking about the politics of mother's milk. I don't know if it's the milk itself or the act of breastfeeding, maybe both. Jennifer Ritchie. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. Where are you calling from?
From Southern California.
See, now you live in an area this is probably no big deal, I'm guessing, right? You can breastfeed your babies in LA or whatever, nobody cares, right?
I mean, it's still taboo.
Really?
There are people, absolutely. Even in, we have health food stores, like say Whole Foods. I mean, even women there, somewhere you would think that would be more accepting. I mean, it's kind of the put it away attitude, or do it, but do it in private.
Do it, but do it in private. But the baby has to eat, so what are you supposed to do? I mean, and give us the science on the baby, the breast milk versus formula. I'm guessing what Mother Nature, what God made is better. Am I right?
Well, formula really started in World War II. So when women had to be separated from their babies, there had to be an alternative. So I'm the first, I'm not here to talk anyone into breastfeeding or saying formula is bad. It's just informed information. And to answer your question about the taboo, I mean, I was born in the early 70s, and my mom said she lied to the pediatrician because she was breastfeeding because I was the third kid and it was just too much trouble to formula feed. But they really, truly thought that formula was better.
Is that because of the formula companies probably wanted you to believe that, I'm guessing?
Exactly. So 80% of the formula companies are pharmaceutical companies. So it was the very first food-based product that was marketed like a drug.
Oh, wow. That is interesting.
So they would go straight to the doctors and convince them that how fabulous it is.
Okay, so the World War II ladies are the ones who were first told to use formula, and I would have been a byproduct of that. I was born in the mid-50s.
And they actually started with cow's milk, but it didn't contain enough nutrition, so a lot of babies died. So what they did do is they started watering down the cow's milk, but when you water down the cow's milk, you lose calories. So they had to add a sugar-based product. So it's basically watered down cow's milk with corn syrup.
Oh, wow.
And a bunch of extra vitamins and...
Okay, so I want to talk about the milk and et cetera, but also the politics of it. I wanted to hear about this. Are is there a movement right now to try to educate us or change our thoughts about this?
Absolutely. And it's really started with the Affordable Care Act. So the government really realized how much money they would save if they could get women to breastfeed. Because
really,
each drop of fresh breast milk has 1 million living white blood cells.
Wow. and there's probably not one in formula.
Mm-hmm. None. So you can picture breast milk would be like a live, raw, organic food with probiotics.
Oh my goodness! And nobody's ever told me that before. That's an interesting thing. So the baby. So the way the money is saved is because health care is not necessary if somebody doesn't get sick.
Exactly. So to put it in perspective, there's the white blood cells and the antibodies. So if a mom gave birth and breastfed, everything the mom was exposed to, vaccinated against, those antibodies are given to the baby. So the baby does not get any of those illnesses.
Well, I had breastfed my children. One was born in 77. My son and my daughter was born in 79. And I did breastfeed them both. And then once they started getting older, once they started developing teeth, then, we had to wean away from that. They were still under a year old. But, I was given formula by the doctors so they wouldn't lose those nutrients.
Absolutely. Well, think about a baby, even a kid, their immune system isn't fully developed till they're 6 years old, 6 or 7. So kids get sick, and I'm sure everybody out there knows the kids get sick often. But when they get sick, when they're very, very small, it's a lot more dangerous when they're older. So even breastfeeding for a few months can delay that.
Wow. Now, every once in a while you hear about ladies who are selling their breast milk because for other women who can't, produce milk. Is there, gosh, obviously that would be still probably preferable to formula, but is there, what do you call the wet nurse?
Yeah.
Is that called a wet nurse?
Wet nurse.
I just like that name, the wet nurse. Okay. All right. So does that
self-contained?
I'm guessing the baby's own biological mother would be preferable, or not necessarily.
Depending on the antibodies, where the person grew up, the antibodies might be different. Breast milk is pretty much consistently amazing, but things that do enter the bloodstream enter the milk. So caffeine, alcohol, narcotics, that's the one.
Oh, so the bad stuff too.
The bad stuff too, absolutely. Mostly the bad stuff, believe it or not.
So is this breast milk turning into an industry then?
There's a lot of underground websites, especially now there's a lot of research about the benefits for people that have cancer.
What is that? What's the benefit of somebody with cancer?
So if you are going through chemotherapy, you go through a process where they replenish your white blood cells. So because breast milk, one drop has 1 million living white blood cells, even 1 teaspoon, 5 cc's of breast milk a day would help the person's immune system.
This is for adults?
For adults.
Oh, wow.
You can get a prescription for it for pasteurized breast milk through a breast milk bank if you have cancer and you're an adult.
Does the pasteurization process change anything about it?
It does kill off some of the white blood cells, but the benefits, the real true benefits are still there, even when it's pasteurized. So that would be the key to making sure that things do not transfer. It's the pasteurization process that would help that. And if you get the milk through a milk bank, these women are screened.
Mm-hmm. Is this quandary just here in the United States, or is it seen around the world?
That's a very interesting question. I haven't seen it around the world just because statistically so many women are breastfeeding. They get a lot more support. For example, Scandinavia, like Denmark, Sweden, women breastfeed, 99% of them breastfeed for a year. But they get, lactation consultants whenever they need them. They get a year off paid. They have to join a mom's group. So it's more normal
Gosh, there's so many things I didn't realize about this subject. The book that will answer most of the questions, if not all of them, is titled I Make Milk, What's Your Superpower? It's written by Jennifer Ritchie, and we'll continue this discussion when we come back. And if you have a question, you are welcome to call. The number is 622-9622. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, times of sun and clouds and becoming breezy. There can be a thunderstorm in spots, but most areas along the coast will stay dry today with highs of 86 on the coast to 92 inland. Partly cloudy tonight with a shower in spots late at night near the coast, the low 67 inland, 74 on the coast. For tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sun. There can be a morning shower along the coast, the high 84 at the coast, 91 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Ooh, ouch. Does pain have you glued to the couch? Yes, unfortunately it's true that every year we must get older, but that doesn't mean we have to deal with pain in our back, knees, or shoulder. If your muscles and joints are sore, don't worry anymore. Come get acupuncture from me and you'll be pain-free. Acupuncture starts as low as $35 at a Better You Healthcare. Call me, Dr. Erica Olstein, at 615-5566. Stop your pain from driving you insane.
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood, and when I was, I could never perform at my best. I tried the pills and other treatments with minimal results, and all but given up on my sex life. Then, I found the doctors at New Male Medical Center. Wow, they made a new male out of me. Feel like I'm 25 again. I have renewed vigor, so much more energy, and no longer worry about my performance. New Male treated me like my situation was one of a kind, with a custom treatment plan that really works. I feel great. They can create one for you too. It does not matter if you suffer from low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or just want to last longer. New Male will help you.
Call New Male Medical Center today at 352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
Career Source Citrus Levy Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source Citrus Levy Marion and learn how they can help you.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my
too.
seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new
Yep,
trunk.
we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
All right, Jennifer Ritchie is on the phone. She is the author of a book called I Make Milk, What's Your Superpower? She also has a whole lot of credentials, including being a lactation expert. She's the founder of something called Milkalicious, which I haven't even asked her what that is yet. Jennifer, I just want to start this segment this way. Let's say there's a young couple and the wife is about to have their first child, and they're discussing this. What would you say if they're saying should we or should we not breastfeed? What is the answer to the question, and what would they expect if they chose to breastfeed? What are the political, the social, the medical? What all is involved in that decision?
Well, I'm the first person to say it's very difficult in the beginning. And if you look at the statistics, I mean, the amount of women that start breastfeeding is around 85%. But by the 6-week follow-up appointment, it's down to 12%.
Why?
That's how hard it is. Well, in the beginning, the baby's tired and uncoordinated. The baby really doesn't know what they're doing. The mom really doesn't know what they're doing. They're recovering. They're exhausted. So it's kind of a bummer that that's when it's the most difficult, because if you can make it through that, it gets really easy. But there's so many different perspectives. There's the health perspective, in terms of, less diarrhea and ear infections, upper respiratory infections, less leukemia, type 2 diabetes.
Leukemia?
Mm-hmm. There's cancer risks go down. And then for the mom, a lot of people don't realize that the mom benefits also. So if this mom chose to breastfeed, she would have a 60% less risk of dying of a heart attack and a 40% less risk of getting breast cancer or ovarian cancer just from breastfeeding.
That's enough to...
Wow.
Wow.
But you can be the most gung-ho breastfeeding advocate, and if you're in pain, it'll cause anyone to stop. So that's really why I wrote the book, in a way where it's evidence-based, research-based information. It's like, why is this happening, and how am I going to fix this? Because we all know the benefits, but the reality is it's tough.
Okay, so if I thought that the hardest thing about this decision was the social aspect, then I was wrong. That's a smaller part of it than all the other part. The other parts are way bigger than, people are going to look at me funny.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize that fresh breast milk, if you pump it, it's good sitting out without any refrigeration for 10 hours. So you could pump and throw that bottle in your purse, and if you do feel uncomfortable, feed that bottle to the baby when you're out and about.
Oh, wow.
10 hours is a pretty good time.
That is good, yeah.
Yeah, because your body, from what I understand, makes the milk when it's necessary. Now, my son, he latched on right away. He was all gung ho, and then when I had my daughter 2 years later, it took her a little while to learn how to do that. But then once she got the hang of it, I mean, it was real easy.
Exactly. And so in the heat, this is really the first decision as a parent that you make. And of course, it's when you're absolutely exhausted and worn down. But the thing is that people tend to not think about the future. And the hardest part for me is, for example, if a baby does have a reaction to regular formula and has to go on a hypoallergenic formula, that can cost between $15 and $30 a day.
Wow. So what is Milkalicious? What is that?
So it's a company that I started really to help moms by giving evidence-based information about breastfeeding. So again, we all know the benefits. We all really want to do it, but without the support, people are quitting. So it gives you the exact antibiotics to take if you have a breast infection, how to cure overgrowth of yeast, how to figure out what the problem is in the first place instead of just what's online, which is mostly just, conversations.
So when you talk about support, are you saying support in public places, or because I think if a mom who is breastfeeding is in her home or a relative's home, there's always some room you can go to by yourself and close the door and do the process and not have to worry about something. But are you talking about support in public places, like in the middle of a shopping mall?
Well, in terms of support, the difficulty in initiating breastfeeding seems to be the biggest hurdle. The moms that even make it past the first 6 weeks, those 12%, they can have some difficulty finding places to nurse, but it just seems like we're so focused on the children and really, and their school lunches and childhood obesity. So with all this information, we should really start focusing on the kids at birth.
My goodness, when you said earlier that breastfeeding reduces the possibility of leukemia, of some of the other things you said, that makes it a no-brainer for me. I mean, if I was in a position or giving somebody advice, not that anybody would ever ask me.
Well, you're the other part.
No. But
working with moms all day, every day, you realize that, it is difficult, and my goal is to, it takes between 6 to 11 years to become a doctor, and on average, in medical school, a doctor spends between 1 to 4 hours learning about breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Can I ask, maybe this is a stupid question, but if a baby is using a bottle, does it not learn how to breastfeed? I mean, is
You can absolutely do both.
okay?
Absolutely.
So the bottle would be perfect. Like you said, you could put it in a bottle and go to the mall, and everything's fine.
Exactly. The first 2 weeks, the mom is setting up, they're called prolactin receptor sites. They're building the milk supply. So it's like a surge protector. They're setting up the connection between the brain and the breast to control their supply. So the first 2 weeks, in an ideal world, we would say no bottles, no pacifiers, because you only get that hormone when the baby breastfeeds. But after that, I'm a huge fan of bottles. One bottle a day.
Isn't it amazing how we're made? Isn't creation an amazing thing? I don't know how else to say it. It's just amazing.
But I was told we had to, my baby's breastfed, and we also had to give them the bottle with water, so they would have those kind of nutrients too. So they didn't have any problem, going back and forth.
Right. So now, water, they now realize that because breast milk's 90% water, or even if you're doing formula, you're feeding so much water, that's really all they need for the first year is either the breast milk or formula, with the addition of adding in solid foods at 6 months.
Mm-hmm. And plus, women are counseled in this before they give birth. So usually the woman knows that once she gives birth, she's either going to be an advocate for doing this or she's not. It seems to me.
True. But again, pain, it will stop anyone in their tracks.
Oh, right. And then you have to have the alternative then.
And then, it's also helping the moms that can't. Some people can't. Mm-hmm. And really, it's the main benefits that we're talking about, in addition to the breast milk. First of all, if a kid gets a teaspoon of breast milk a day, they're a breastfed baby. So all the benefits are there with a teaspoon. We can all make a teaspoon.
Wow.
Oh.
I wanted to let the listeners know that the book is out there, and there's also a blog on your website that I think the ladies and maybe some of the guys would be probably educated greatly. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first thing on your blog is the mastitis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, it's a breast infection.
Yeah, so that sounds painful, and you have a whole bunch of things you can do listed on your blog. So the website I went to is milkalicious.com, and
Yep.
it took me right there to your site. And then there's a link for the blog, and also a link to buy the book. Is the book already on Amazon and all the other booksellers?
Yep, and it's also in Barnes & Noble stores.
And the dad plays an important role in this too. I was.
he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was one of the places where I was working at. I was way beyond, breastfeeding age and stuff. This lady had her baby. She was pregnant, and then she had her baby, and then the husband, and then she came back to work. But then when it was time for the baby to be fed, the husband would come over to the job, and she would have the baby, and she would go someplace private and breastfeed. So the husband is a very integral part of this also, because he takes care of the baby when the mom's not there, even when she is there, and he made sure to bring the baby when it was time for the feeding.
Absolutely. And we're the only country in the world, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends breastfeeding for 1 year. Every other country in the world goes off the World Health Organization, which is a minimum of 2 years.
Wow.
But if you look at the average age for weaning in the world, it's age 5.
Really?
Really.
Gosh.
Which, again, if someone nursed a 5-year-old, especially here in Southern California, I don't even know what would happen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm looking at 8 months tops, for a baby. 'Cause by then you want them on solid food.
So for the couple that
Right.
that adopts, I should have asked this earlier, but I guess there's a resource for them to get the milk from somebody else.
Or you can also induce lactation, which people think is insane, but I love doing it. So I'll take a mom that has a surrogate or adopts a baby, and we'll trick her body into making milk so she can breastfeed.
Wow.
I gotta see
I
this.
never heard of that before. Okay. Jennifer, thank you so much for the great interview. For everybody listening, the book is called I Make Milk, What's Your Superpower? The website is milkalicious.com. And I'm telling you, you're going to get some information just from the blog alone, and that'll be very helpful for you. Never have we ever talked about this topic before. We've been doing this show for at least 12 years. We did 2 shows.
Yeah.
This one's 12 years old. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
That was
Thank
great.
you so much.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and